In our final exercise for Chapter 4, we're going to take a look at creating a constrained component for a curb and gutter detail. I have that over here on the right hand side. There's no information given in the manual on how to create this, so we're just going to go out and try and create this on our own. So to do this, we're going to start out by opening up our template library. Okay, that should be under Open Roads Modeling. Under Corridors, we'll go to Create, and there should be the template with the hammer on it. We're going to left click on that to open up our ITL. Okay, we've been doing exercises in Chapter 4, so currently it pulls up my J5P 3181 ITL, but if it brings up the mo.itl, then you'll want to go in here into a File, Open, and then from our Data 4 folder that we've been working in, you'll want the J5P3181.itl from there. Okay, and then that will pull this one up that has our job folder in there. It's got components that we've created, end conditions we've created, the ramp 4 that we created. We're going to create one for this curb and gutter detail. So underneath the J5P3181, I'm just going to left click on the folder, right click, and do a new folder. And I'm going to name that curb and gutter. Okay, so we have that started for us in our folder. So now we need to create a template out here on the right, and we'll call it curb and gutter detail. So we'll right click on curb and gutter folder and do a new template. Our new template is just named new template right now, so we need to go ahead and give that the name curb and gutter detail. And that'll give it that name at the top as well. So we're going to create constrained components. So we're going to come out here and create this curb with the dimensions that are given and the point names that are given on each one, and then we're going to go create a concrete sidewalk the same way over here on the right. Okay, both of these things are concrete. One's a curb and gutter and one is a sidewalk, so we'll be able to use a concrete feature definition when we create it as well. So in our template library, we can right click in the template area, do an add new component, and we'll do a constrained. We're going to go down here and give this component a name. We'll call it curb and gutter. Our feature definition, we're going to try to give this template components. We can do a curb and gutter if you'd like, and we'll just do, let's see what's down in here. We'll do a concrete curb surf. Okay, so that's the excess curb surface for this first one. Then we can come out here on the screen and we've got to set up our dynamic settings, because everything we're going to do is going to be placed out here using that dialog. So there's a couple of ways down here at the bottom. The last tool in the scroll area is your dynamic settings, or you can get it from the tools pull down, dynamic settings. Okay, we're going to set these dynamic settings up. I'm going to go ahead and set it down here. Our steps, usually we'll do a 0.1 for both of our steps for X and Y. Down here at the bottom, we're not going to apply any affixes. Everything, there's no left or right of a center line out there, so we don't need to apply affixes. Our first point that we're going to place is going to be this top of curb. Okay, we'll start with that, top of curb. So our point name here will be a TOC. Feature definition, we can go down into design, we can go into roadway, and we should have a curb. Let's see, let's do Let's do this curb type A. Okay, it just adds a feature definition to these points. Okay, out here on the screen, we're going to start this at 0, 0. Okay. So at this point, we want to do an XY, and we'll do a 0, 0, and we'll enter that in. Now we're starting this at 0, 0. If you want a different origin point later on, you don't want to place this by the top of the curb, you want to place it by the gutter, or you want to place it by, say, the SHDR point. We can do that, we can change that, and we'll do that at the end. We'll change it to the SHDR to show you how that works. Okay, so we're going to go straight across for this first one. Okay, so we're going to do an HS for our next point. And our next point is called a BOC. So we've got that in there. We're just going to leave our feature definition be this the whole time. We're going to go back 5 inches. So we'll do 5 inches and then comma 0 for the slope. Make sure you have the inch mark in there and then hit enter. Okay, so now we've got a 5 inch. We've got that part done. We're going down now 1 foot and 0 inches, and we're going straight up and down on this one. So if you wanted to do a DL, you could do that. Okay, and then we're always doing horizontal first, so we'll do a 0, and then we'll do a comma, -1, and that'll be 1 foot. And that'll go down your 1 foot. The next one, we've got a 1 foot 6 inch bottom, but it goes up at 5%. So we'll do an HS, and we'll do the horizontal first, which is -1.5, or you could do a 1:6. We'll just do 1.5 and then comma. We're going up 5%, so we'll do 5%. And we'll enter that in. As you can see, that one went down. So instead of trying to change that right now, we'll come back and modify that to take off, or to actually add the -5% to go up. Okay, so we're not going to make any changes right now. We're just going to let that rest right there, and then we're going to come back and modify it. Okay, so the next point then is straight up 6.5 inches. So I'm going to switch it back to the DL. And I don't want to go, I want to go 0 horizontally, but I want to go up 6.5 inches. So that'll be a positive 6.5 and enter, and that will draw that in. Now I need to go back 5% this direction. Okay. And we've got basically a 1.5 feet to the left, and then we got to go back 1 foot to the right. Okay, so to do that, we're going to add in that slope. So we got HS again. We're going to go over 1 foot, comma, and then I noticed that negative went up last time, or positive went up, down last time, so negative. Let's see if it goes down going this direction. So we'll do a -5%. If we have to make these changes again, we'll come back and modify them. Okay, so that one did go down like we'd hoped it would. Okay, so we've got that one in there. Now, all we're going to do is we're going to right-click and finish. As you can see, I've got a TOC, and I went and put that BOC in there, and then all the rest of them I just let name whatever they wanted to name it. We needed to go back and modify this one anyway, so we're going to go modify those points at this time. So that BOC1 down there needs to be a BOC_BOT. So we're going to double click that point. We're going to come in here and name that what we want, BOC_BOT, apply it. The next point, we're just going to hit this little pick button, and we'll hit this BOC2. This is the one we wanted to go the other direction, so that 5%, I'm going to make that a negative 5% and apply that. And now that's starting to look better there. The other point was a SHDR underscore bottom. So I'm going to change that here, SHDR underscore BOT. You can do this as you're going, or you can change it later on, as we did. We did this one as we were going here, and then we're changing them the rest of the way around. So we'll apply that. Right above that is the SHDR, so I'm going to hit the little pick button again inside my point properties, hit the BOC3, and change that to SHDR. And we can apply that. Okay, you'll notice as I'm looking at the vertical here, that's 0.5417, so that's 6.5 inches up from that bottom. Okay, so it switches everything to feet, even though you put the inch mark on there. That last point, BOC4, we're going to change that to gutter. So we'll hit the pick button, select the BOC4, and put that at gutter. And you could have, like I said, you could have done that all the way around and just changed that name of that point inside the dynamic settings every time that you placed a point, or you can go place them and modify them. Another way to do this thing is just to start at one spot, like the shoulder point perhaps, and just go out here and left click all your different points, and then go open each point and modify it. Okay. Alright, so that's your gutter point. It is going to, let's see, we're shoulder at 1 foot, so we're all good there. So we'll go ahead and close that out. So now we've got our curb in there. And what we're going to do now is put in our sidewalk. So down here at the bottom, that's another component completely. So we're going to right click, add new component, constrained. Down here at the bottom, we're going to call that sidewalk. Our feature definition, we can change that from a curb and gutter to a sidewalk. And we'll just do excess sidewalk surface. Okay, so that'll change it to that. Then when we come out here on the screen, we can just left click a start point, which is going to be that BOC point. So we can just left click on it and it will start it right there at the BOC. It basically is going to merge those points together. And we're going to go up 2% at 3 feet. So up 2% at 3 feet. So in our dynamic settings box, our next point over there is a SW underscore BK. We're going to do an HS, horizontal slope. We're going to do 3 foot for the horizontal, comma, 2%. And we'll hit enter on that, and that actually went up this time. Okay, our next point down is going to be a sidewalk, or SW back bottom. So I can just come in here and do an underscore BOT. This one we can do a DL on. And we're going to go down 4 inches. So we got 0 in the horizontal, comma, negative 4 inches. Okay, got to click that in the box. 0, comma, negative 4 inches. And we'll hit enter on that. And that'll drop that down. Okay, then our last point is going to be basically the same as the top. We're going to go back 3 foot at negative 2% to get it to show up down here. Okay, so we're going to do another horizontal slope. Okay, we're doing a negative 3 feet, comma. We'll try the negative 2% and see if we need to adjust that. So negative 3, comma, negative 2%, hit enter on that. And you can see that that went up for that last one. So we'll change that, we'll modify that, and we'll modify the point name. Okay, so we're going to right click and finish on that, and we're going to adjust this last point. So we're going to double click on it. We're going to change that last slope to be a +2 and apply that, and we'll take a look at the name was SW_BOT, so we're going to get rid of what's in there, SW_BOT, and apply that. And now if you fit the view, you've got a curb and gutter that matches what we have out here. The other thing we might want to take a look at before we finish this exercise is that we created these points also with a roadway curb and gutter, or a curb type A. So each one of these points, when you double click on them, you'll see that that feature definition is set that way. We can make changes to those. Also, our sidewalk, we did that same thing with. So our sidewalk, if we double click on these points, right now their feature definition is set in here on roadway curb. That would probably be under roadside sidewalk proposed. So we're going to apply that to each one of these as well. So you can do that either as you're creating each point, or you can come out here and change each one of those to sidewalk proposed, which I have done here, and that's going to be under your roadside items, and apply each one of those. So now this one, this component, if we double click on it, its name is sidewalk. It's got a feature definition of excess sidewalk surface, and it's got all of these different points that make it up. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to show here was to change this origin. If you remember, we made the top of concrete out here your origin for this one. We saw in other exercises you can pretty much place this out into your drawing at any location. You don't have to use the origin. If you use the preview window of the library to drag an item out, you can place it according to any one of these points. However, if you want the default origin to be something different, let's say that normally you will place this at the edge of shoulder. What I want to do is I want to change this top of curb to have that shoulder point be my insertion point. To do that, you can right click on this point, and you can come down here to change template origin. Okay, that changes the template origin, but most of the time our template origins have the green point, and not this green point being on the top of curb. So we're going to change a little bit of this. We're going to take this shoulder point here, SHDR, and I'm going to double click on it, and you can see I've got horizontal and vertical. I don't want anything to be on there, so I'm going to close that out and just right click again over SHDR and delete both constraints. That's going to turn that point green, because I don't want any constraints on my actual origin point that's out there, so I removed those. Now TOC would be an unconstrained point, and we want to constrain that, so we're going to double click on that point, and we're going to base its information on, let's say, the gutter down there. So right now we've got none. We'll do a horizontal, hit the pick button, and we'll do the gutter, and right now it's 1 inch away, 0.0833. As you can see, that 1 inch, so it's 1 inch off that gutter. Okay, so when we apply that, the point will turn yellow, and you can see that it is constrained there. Now we're also going to constrain it vertically on that, so we're going to change our constraint to vertical. We're going to use the little pick point again. We'll base it off the gutter as well, and you can see 0.433 is what it puts in there for that distance in there. We'll go ahead and take that and apply that. And now this entire curb and gutter and sidewalk detail will be based off the SHDR point instead of the top of curb. So we'll close that out. Okay, we built it this direction. So right now everything is based off of that direction. Let's look at the gutter point. Gutter point is based off of the slope of SHDR and horizontal of SHDR. So it should be good to go. Everything should be running in that direction and ending up back at that point. So that's how you go out about changing an origin for your detail or your components. Okay, then all we have to do is come out here and basically just save our ITL, and then this is saved in the ITL as a curb and gutter detail.